Have you ever met someone who makes no sense? Someone who doesn't fit your type, doesn't meet any of your standards, yet your mind just can't let go of them no matter how hard you try. It's not love at first sight. It's not an ordinary attraction. It's a hazy but jarring moment of awareness, as if the deepest part of you just whispered, "This person means something to me." And then you ask yourself, why is this person making me feel so confused? Why is there such an eerie, almost frightening sense of familiarity? Carl Jung believed moments like these are not random. They're messages from the unconscious, a place that holds the true map of meaningful connections in your life. According to Jung, real love doesn't come from reason. It stems from a profound resonance between two inner worlds. When your soul responds to another soul, not through logic, but through primal emotion. So how do you know if someone is your true love? How do you tell the difference between fleeting desire and a profound connection written by the collective unconscious? Today, we'll decode the invisible but undeniable signs. Carl Jung left us like a map to help you recognize who's truly meant for you. Number 1. What is true love? According to Jung, true love is not about two people being compatible by society's standards. It's a sacred encounter between two inner worlds, a resonance between one soul and another that transcends calculation and appearances. Jung called it the voice of the unconscious, a part of you that the rational mind cannot control, but that knows exactly what is real. In Jung's view, each of us carries archetypes, universal symbols, buried deep in the collective unconscious. The mother, the father, the lover, the child, the hero, the betrayer. And when we fall in love, we often don't love the person as they truly are. We project onto them an archetype we carry unconsciously. In other words, we love the image of ourselves reflected through them. For example, you meet someone strong, calm, and protective. You feel immediately drawn, not just to them, but because they awaken the ideal lover archetype inside you. On the other hand, if you carry abandonment wounds from childhood, you might find yourself unconsciously drawn to distant, cold people, because your unconscious is trying to heal the past through present love. Jung called this process projection, one of the most powerful phenomena in love. But he also warned projections are always illusions. True love begins only when you pull back the projection, when you start seeing the other as a real person, not a symbol of your unfulfilled desires, wounds, or dreams. Love for Jung is a spiritual catalyst. When you truly love, you don't just see the other person. You begin to see your whole self, your light and your shadow, your strengths and your wounds, the parts you're proud of and the parts you've always denied. It's not a gentle experience, it's an awakening. And that's why real love isn't easy. But it's real, and only what is real can heal. Take this example. You're with someone who makes you feel safe, stable, cherished. But you're no longer yourself. You shrink, give up what you enjoy, stop pursuing your passions. You become smaller just to keep them from leaving. Jung would say, that's not love. That's negotiating with yourself out of fear of being abandoned. True love doesn't shrink you, it expands you. On the other hand, maybe you've met someone who turned your life upside down. You don't know where they came from or why they touch the deepest part of you, but they force you to question everything about yourself. You might feel anxious, confused, or even angry, but at the same time, you feel alive. This is exactly what Jung meant. That person didn't come to comfort you. They came to awaken you. True love then isn't about comfort, it's about consciousness. Jung called it the journey of individuation, where you don't just love the other, but use that love to become the fullest, truest version of yourself. The other person isn't your escape. They're your mirror, your fire, your catalyst for deeper self-awareness. And for that reason, True love doesn't always feel good, but it feels right. Right. In a way that defies explanation. Right in a way you know in every cell, every breath. This person isn't perfect, but they're helping me touch something deeper than anyone else ever has. Carl Jung didn't give us a formula for finding love. He gave us a mirror to recognize it when it comes. And the first most important lesson is true love doesn't come from reason. It comes from the resonance between the two souls unconscious. When that happens, you no longer need to ask, is this the one? You just know, with your heart and your soul. But recognizing it isn't always easy, because true love doesn't speak in words. It's not loud. It doesn't follow the usual logic. It speaks through subtle, deep signals, through feeling intuition and silent movements in the unconscious. So how do you know you're standing in front of true love? Below are 7 core signs, not for you to analyze others, but for you to learn how to listen to yourself. When love appears, if you're ready to explore them with me, comment, "I'm ready," so we can begin. Number 2, 7 signs. This is true love. Sign 1, the feeling of recognizing a familiar soul. Have you ever met someone just once, and in that moment, nothing seemed to happen on the outside, but something inside you vibrated in a strange, deep way? Not the kind of "this person is my type," nor "wow, they're perfect," but a quiet, intense feeling, like you found a piece of your soul that had been lost for a long time. A familiarity that defies logic, not from reason, not from experience. It hits in an instant like a memory from another lifetime, but you can't quite name it. Carl Jung called this the unconscious, responding to a soul that deeply resonates with yours. Not because they are like you, but because they awaken a part of you that has never been lit. It could be a soft, feminine energy you've always denied, or a wild, intuitive, free spirit that society made you forget. Jung referred to these parts as the anima, the feminine within men, and animus, the masculine within women. Archetypes that exist within the unconscious. And when you meet someone who activates your or animus, you don't just like them. You see yourself in them. They're like a mysterious mirror reflecting a part of your soul you've never dared to live with. For example, maybe you're rational, disciplined, and living within structure. Then one day, you meet someone who lives by emotion, intuition, free as the wind. They're nothing like you, yet you can't take your eyes off them. Something in their gaze makes you feel like you're seeing an old friend you've never met. They don't complete you like a missing half. They awaken the parts you buried out of fear, pain, or social conformity. This is the first sign of true love according to Jung. Not external compatibility, but internal resonance. A kind of unspoken recognition, as if your soul whispered, "We finally meet again." But here's the key. This recognition isn't always pleasant. Sometimes what you recognize isn't the sweet part of love. It's the part of your soul you fear and reject. That's why many people run from this kind of connection thinking it's wrong. But Jung warned, don't mistake fear for error. Some souls make you tremble because they're saying exactly what you're not yet ready to hear. Sign 2, they awaken your shadow. But there's something you must know. Not every resonant soul brings peace. Sometimes the person you recognize the deepest is also the one who confuses you, angers you, or hurts you the most. Because recognition happens not only with your light, but also with your darkness. Jung called this the shadow, the part of your psyche you don't want to admit, the parts repressed, rejected, or shamed. The shadow isn't evil. It's simply the aspects of you that no one taught you how to love. And here's the twist. True love is always tied to the shadow. You'll know it's happening when you meet someone who pulls you in, but also makes you want to run. They make you feel weak. They say things you don't want to hear. They unintentionally expose your fear of abandonment, jealousy, insecurity. all the things you thought you'd moved past. And you ask yourself, why does this person touch the most vulnerable part of me? Jung would say, because they are unconsciously triggering your shadow. That person is a mirror, not only reflecting the parts you love, but also the parts you hide. And real love, if it is real, will always require you to face yourself. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Light doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from facing the dark. And the one you truly love is the one who won't let you hide anymore. They're the mirror that reveals your dark corners. Not to judge you, but to set you free. Think of those relationships that made you suffer. Not because they treated you badly, but because they made you feel not good enough, too fragile, out of control. If you can look back, not with blame, but with understanding, you'll see they touched wounds that hadn't healed. And to Jung, that's not failure. That's a chance to integrate the shadow and grow for real. Many think true love must be easy, smooth, and sweet. But Jung said, who-ness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. True love, the kind that transforms you, pulls your shadow into the light, not to hurt you, to liberate you. That person isn't here to pamper your pain. They're here to make you look at it. They challenge you. They push you out of your comfort zone. They make you question who you are. So if you're with someone who makes you feel both love and fear, desire, and the urge to run, don't assume something's wrong. You may not be meeting danger. You may be meeting destiny. Sign 3, they energize you. It's true, real love can awaken your shadow, and that might throw you into chaos. But Jung never said, true love means endless suffering. On the contrary, he emphasized if someone is truly the right one, they won't drain you. They'll energize you and help you grow. After the initial confusion and the clash with your darker parts, they give you a new kind of energy, not impulsive adrenaline, but a quiet, steady life force. They don't deplete you. They remind you who you are. There's a common mistake many make, thinking that true love must involve sacrifice, endurance, or fighting to make it work. But Jung would stop you right there. He clearly said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. True love doesn't make you shrink to fit someone else. It transforms you, but in a way that makes you bigger, truer, more alive. Ask yourself, when I'm with this person, do I feel allowed to be myself? Or do I perform, sense or tiptoe, afraid of judgment? Do I feel recharged, or do I feel like every encounter drains me? Some relationships feel like this. You talk for a few hours, and you feel wiped out. No fights, no drama, but something in the energy makes you tired. You have to try to stay connected. You sacrifice too much to make it work. And deep down, you know I'm not myself anymore. But with the right person, even if there are disagreements, even in silence, you feel filled up. They don't demand you always be strong. They give you space to be vulnerable, and they stay. They don't require perfection. They make you feel safe enough to drop your defenses. That person turns you inward, not to retreat, but to awaken. They don't love your mask. They love the real energy inside you, even when you've forgotten what it is. And when that happens, you'll know, because love won't feel like a battle anymore. It will feel like a return. Sign 4, you feel a shared purpose with them. A person who energizes you instead of draining you is a clear sign. But true love, according to Carl Jung, doesn't stop at comfort. It goes further. It creates space for both people to grow. Not by merging into one, not by becoming dependent, but by walking two distinct paths in parallel toward a shared direction. Jung once said, every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not fulfilled, then that life was wasted. He believed that every person is a microcosm, a universe with its own identity, potential, and purpose. True love doesn't erase that individuality. On the contrary, it makes each person more clearly defined in themselves and simultaneously creates a new energetic field where both can serve something greater than themselves. You know you're in a truly deep relationship when you feel, I haven't lost myself loving this person. On the contrary, I know myself better. And at the same time, I can walk alongside them towards something greater for both of us. It's not about blending. It's not about sacrificing who you are to make it work. It's two complete beings each with their path, ideals, and passions. Yet when together, they align at the level of core values. They could be independent, but they choose to walk together because this shared growth feels sacred. For example, you might be passionate about healing and psychology. The other is drawn to art and personal expression. On the surface, you seem different with little in common, but both of you share a value, freeing the human spirit from internal bondage and lies. When together, neither abandons their dream, but you find that their dream fuels your journey, and vice versa. Jung would say this is the sign of a symbolic soul convergence. It's not just attraction, it's a meaningful depth that makes both feel. We're building something that isn't just for us. And the key is this kind of growth is not separate from love. It is love. Because you love them, you want them to soar higher. And because they love you, they never hold you back to serve their ego. You become each other's keepers of the flame, with no demands, no manipulation, no control. True love, according to Jung, isn't two people doing everything together all the time. It's two free, awakened souls on separate journeys of individuation, yet sharing one heartbeat, one sacred invitation from the collective unconscious. When you love someone and also feel both of us are becoming stronger versions of ourselves because of each other's presence, that's not luck. That's destiny called forth from the unconscious. Sign 5. Time and space seem to disappear. When both people can grow holding their individuality, yet harmonizing on a shared path, love reaches a deeper layer of awakening. But there's something more subtle, more mystical, that Carl Jung believed was a sign that you're not just in love, but being guided to it. That phenomenon is called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. Have you ever asked yourself, why did I meet that person right at that moment? Why out of millions of people did I just happen to sit next to them in an empty cafe? And why can't I stop thinking about them? Jung didn't believe this was random. He called it the language of the collective unconscious, the cosmic intelligence working beneath the surface, leading you to the right place, right person at the right time. As he wrote, synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. When you meet someone and time seems to pause, when the outside world fades away and all that exists is this moment between you and them. That's your unconscious recognizing something far more important than reason can explain. Example, you miss a bus, something that seems annoying, but it leads you to meet them in a quiet, unfamiliar cafe. Or you're standing at a major crossroads in life, lost, and they appear not to fix anything, but to spark something inside you. A memory, an intuition, a reminder of why you began. People like this rarely show up at convenient times. They arrive when you're in transition, when your soul is asking questions, when you no longer want to keep faking it. They're a living signal from the unconscious part of you you've been ignoring. They pull your attention back inward just by being there. And the so-called random circumstances of your meeting, time, place, and tiny details that seem meaningless suddenly carry a profound, emotional weight. As if the universe is whispering, this was arranged. Pay attention. Not all coincidences are fate. But when your unconscious stirs, when time slows down, when someone enters your life, just as you begin to wake up, that's not random anymore. Sign 6. They inspire you to be more authentically yourself. If synchronicity is fate knocking on your door, then the feeling of belonging is what happens when you walk through and suddenly realize your soul has been there before. Carl Jung often said that we each carry unconscious archetypes, ancient psychic images of the mother, father, lover, child, teacher. And when you meet someone who awakens a key archetype, your soul recognizes something more familiar than anything you've ever consciously touched. He wrote, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. And sometimes meeting yourself happens through meeting another person, not because they are like you, not because they take away your loneliness, but with them, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to shrink yourself. You don't have to earn love through performance. You are simply yourself, and that is enough." Have you ever felt this being with someone without needing to talk too much, without trying to impress, and yet the space between you feels like a sacred zone of safety, where every part of you is welcome, even the fragile, hurt, unfinished parts? That's not just comfort. That's deep-rootedness, a soul-level anchoring in someone else without losing yourself. And Jung would say, this isn't just a feeling. It's a resonance between two souls that have already touched in the collective unconscious, where memory lives beyond this lifetime. In true love, this person doesn't hide their shadow. They embrace it as an inseparable part of you. And because of that, you don't just feel accepted. You feel seen, understood, and invited to stay. Not in a physical home, but in a soul space, where every version of you, past, present, and future, is welcomed. This feeling can't be manufactured with logic. No dating app can describe it because it doesn't come from matching personalities. It comes from soul harmony. And if you've ever met someone who makes you exhale, not because they saved you, but because you can finally drop your armor, then don't doubt it. Sign 7. They force you to choose to love for real or keep living a lie. After all the intense emotions, the strange synchronicities, the moments of feeling truly seen and touched at your core, there will come a moment where you must make a real choice. Either love for real or continue living a lie. Carl Jung never romanticized love. To him, true love was about confrontation, not just with the other person, but with your true self. And the truth, as you know, always demands sacrifice. Not the sacrifice of love itself, but of your false self, your roles, your armor, and the relationships that no longer reflect who you are. As he once said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their soul. The person truly meant for you won't let you run anymore. They don't come so you can stay in your comfort zone. Keep wearing your mask. Keep pretending everything's fine. They call out your authentic self. And they make it impossible for you to keep faking it. And then you realize if you want this person to stay in your life, you must become the most honest version of yourself. No more compromising with lies. No more clinging to relationships that don't nourish you. You will have to let go. Let go of the people who only love your pleasant, successful, strong side. Let go of the lifestyle that disconnects you from your soul. Let go of the fear that being real means being left behind. This is the moment when love is no longer an emotion, but a commitment to truth. And if you dare to step into it, you're not just loving them, you're choosing to love yourself. Jung would call this the ultimate confrontation between the ego and the real. And true love won't wait for you in shallow waters. It waits where you're willing to shed your illusions and live in radical truth. That person may not stay if you're not ready. But if you choose truth, that love won't just change your relationship, it will change who you are. But here's the catch. Not everything that makes you tremble, lose control, or feel obsessively drawn is true love. Intensity is not always proof of authenticity. Sometimes, it's just the voice of an old wound crying out to be healed. Number 3, a wake-up call from Jung. There is a kind of love that leaves you breathless, intoxicated, and obsessed. Every time this person comes near, you feel scorched. Every time they leave, you feel hollow, as if severed from yourself. It's the kind of love that robs you of sleep, makes you tremble, and makes you sacrifice yourself just to hold on to them. It's intense, fiery, irresistible. And Carl Jung warns you, be careful. Not everything that stirs you deeply is true love. Jung called this phenomenon excessive projection, when you no longer see the other person for who they are, but as a symbol of all your unmet desires and unhealed wounds. And that can lead you to confuse emotional addiction with soul connection. When you haven't integrated your inner unconscious, you unknowingly project it onto others. And when they fail to fulfill the role you've assigned, you feel disillusioned, hurt, even betrayed. But it's not love that's been betrayed. It's the collapse of an illusion. Look back at yourself. Have you ever experienced a powerful connection that caused you to lose yourself? Share in the comments. Sometimes naming the experience is the first step to awakening. Jung saw many people trapped in relationships he called emotional codependency, where love gets entangled with drama, with a longing to be rescued, with romanticized suffering. These relationships can be blazing passionate, but they also pull you away from yourself and make you forget your path. You start changing who you are just to hold on to the other. You justify being hurt. You tell yourself, love means accepting everything. But in truth, you are compromising your inner truth just to preserve a feeling that seems like love. Picture a couple who feel an intense connection from the first meeting. They are drawn to each other like magnets. Fuse at lightning speed. Share everything. Merge completely. But within months, they begin to unravel. Explosive fights erupt. Insecurity surges. One tries to control, the other retreats. They're in pain, but can't let go. Carl Jung would look at this and say, no, this is not love. This is the unconscious trying to liberate itself through the other. A real connection, as Jung emphasized, does not make you lose yourself. It brings you back to yourself. It may still be intense, deep and challenging, but it won't leave you dependent, chaotic, or diminished. Jung pointed out that many people are addicted to the feeling of being captivated because that's where they feel alive. But that's a life fueled by stimulation, not by awareness. And if you keep chasing these types of connections, you'll continue missing true love, the kind of love that comes not from lack, but from wholeness. A relationship may feel like it touches your soul, but if afterward you feel drained, if you have to perform, if you must abandon your core values to stay in it, then be brave enough to face the truth. This is not love. It is your unconscious crying out. True love can be deep, even fierce, but it leads to expansion, not collapse. It brings clarity, not confusion. And though it may demand transformation, you still feel connected to yourself, not distorted, to hold on to someone else. So Jung urges you, stay awake. Don't let intensity blind you. Look at how the love is affecting you. Is it guiding you toward growth or dragging you away from your soul? The answer doesn't lie in explosive feelings. It lies in whether, after each encounter, you return more fully to your authentic self. If in the end, you find yourself clearer, freer, and more honest, that is love. But if you feel yourself fading, as though you're trading pieces of your soul just to keep someone near, no matter how deeply you love, you are not in love. You are in self-abandonment. Number 4, the lesson of self-love. After all the signs, the resonance, the seemingly faded connections, Carl Jung brings us back to one core truth. You cannot recognize or attract true love unless you've truly learned to love yourself. This is not an empty inspirational quote. It is a profound psychological principle. If you cannot embrace both the light and the shadow within you, you will continue to seek love as compensation, not as shared presence. Jung believed that most tragedies in love don't come from meeting the wrong person, but from entering love while still strangers to ourselves. You want to be seen, but refuse to look within. You want to be loved wholly, but cannot love the ugly parts of yourself. And so you hand your heart to someone else with an unspoken hope. Please love me the way I can't love myself. But no one can do that forever. They may lift you, touch your deepest wounds, awaken the parts you forgot, but they cannot heal what you still refuse to face. And when you start to feel abandoned, overlooked, not enough, Jung would gently ask you to turn inward and ask, have I truly done that for myself? To Jung, self-love isn't about affirming, I deserve good things. It goes deeper. It's the journey of accepting your whole being, including the shameful parts, the immature parts, the weak parts. As he said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because when you can face your own shadow without fear, you no longer need someone else to fill the void. You realize love doesn't come to complete you. It's where you share the wholeness you found. This is why Jung placed individuation at the center of human development. Only when you become your truest self can you see another clearly without your unconscious clouding your vision. You won't love to escape loneliness, but love becomes the natural expression of a soul that has reconciled with itself. True love doesn't begin with finding the other. It begins the moment you stand in front of a mirror, no longer running, no longer editing, and for the first time say, I'm here. I see you, and I accept it all. When you can love yourself at that depth, the other, if they come, won't be your savior. They'll be your companion. No one in this world can answer for you. Is this person my true love? There is no prophecy, no tool more precise than the whisper within you. And Jung understood this. He didn't give answers. He gave a mirror so you could see yourself in the relationships you live. And right now, not later when it hurts, but right now, you need to pause, take a deep breath and ask, am I loving from truth or just afraid of being alone? A simple question, but it pierces the core of human behavior. So many enter relationships not because they're ready to love, but because they can't bear the void. They fear silence, fear of being unseen, fear of invisibility. And they call the first person who shows up destiny. But you cannot truly love anyone if you are still using them as a blanket to cover your deepest fears. Jung would ask, if this person disappeared tomorrow, would you still feel whole? Or are you clinging to them to avoid facing a space inside you? And if you answer honestly, the next question will come. Does this person help you grow, or are they making you shrink day by day? Someone who truly loves you doesn't need you to be perfect, but their love will make you want to grow. Not because you're lacking, but because being with them inspires you to be the highest version of yourself. Conversely, if you find yourself gradually abandoning your dreams, suppressing your feelings, changing your tone, your tastes, just to maintain harmony, you are not loving. You are contracting yourself to survive. And the cruelest part is you may not even realize it until you've almost lost yourself entirely. Jung once warned that a relationship can be like a warped mirror. You enter thinking it's love, but end up losing sight of your real self in a distorted reflection. And when that happens, you must step back and ask, am I changing because I'm evolving or because I'm being diminished? Ultimately, Perhaps the most important question of all, am I denying the voice within me? You know that voice. It's not fear. It's not a doubt. It's a deep, solid intuition, a silent knowing that once whispered, "This isn't right." Or, "This person means more than I'm willing to admit," but you chose to ignore it because logic spoke louder, because society had reasons, because others said they're good for you. But here's the thing. You can fool the whole world, but you can never fully deceive the most honest part of yourself. And that voice, even when buried, never leaves. It's always there, waiting for you to listen. Carl Jung believed every soul knows its way home. We just get too busy pretending to remember how to listen. So if you're in love waiting for someone, or holding on to something vague but emotional, stop chasing the question, "Do they love me?" Instead, ask, "Am I being true to myself?" Because only when you start from your inner truth will the questions about love find clear answers. No need to overanalyze. No need to seek advice. Just be radically honest with yourself. And that, for Jung, is the first step, not to love someone else, but to love the right way. In Jung's view, love was never a comfortable destination. It is a doorway into the wild terrain of the soul, where reason's light fades, where no maps exist, where the right person, right time is a myth. There is only you carrying everything you are. Wounds, longings, shadow, and light. Walking through the mist, following instinct like returning to an ancient home you've never lived in. Yet somehow, know the person you're thinking of now may not be perfect, may not be ideal, may not match any list in your mind. But if they make you pause, begin an honest dialogue with your inner world. Don't turn away too soon, because sometimes true love doesn't arrive with a sweet song. It comes as a quiet knock in the middle of the night. True love is not the dream you chase. It's the reality you must be brave enough to enter. Like seeing yourself in a still clear lake, you don't just see the other person. You see your soul in motion. And if in some moment your heart stirs, for no obvious reason, just because of a gaze, a phrase, a presence that makes you feel deeply real, then maybe love has already knocked.